Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder if you can actually get better at things like making friends or controlling your emotions on demand? This new study dives deep into that very question. Imagine life as a video game. We all have different stats, right? Some of us are naturally good at talking to people, others are great at sticking to a plan. These are like our social, emotional, and behavioral skills, or SEB skills for short. The big question researchers are asking today is this: can we actually train these skills, like lifting weights for our minds? And if we can, does getting better at them actually make our lives better? This study basically set up a kind of mental gym for young adults. They had nearly 500 people, mostly college students, try out a 16-week program designed to help them improve these SEB skills. The idea was pretty straightforward. First, people identified the skills they really wanted to work on. Then, each week, they set themselves a little challenge, like a mini mission, to practice that skill. Finally, they check in and see how they did. The researchers wanted to know two main things. Could this practice actually help people feel like they were getting better at these skills? And if they did feel better, did that connect to good things happening in their lives? Let's break down what these SEB skills really are. They're not just about your personality, like being shy or outgoing. They're about your actual ability to do things when you need to. Think about it. You might be generally quiet, but if you have good social engagement skills, you can still step up and start a conversation when it is important. Or you might love social events, but without good cooperation skills, you might awkwardly interrupt people or say the wrong thing. The researchers in this study use a framework that breaks these down into 5 main areas: self-management, social engagement, cooperation, emotional resilience, and innovation skills. Now, where does this behavioral challenge idea come from? Well, previous research has shown that social and emotional learning programs can help kids and teens, but this study wanted to see if it could work for adults too, and more importantly, if it could work when people did it on their own outside of a formal classroom setting. They noticed that people often want to change aspects of their personality, and setting goals to do so can actually lead to change. So they thought, what if we take that same idea, setting goals, doing specific actions, and getting feedback, but apply it to skills instead of just broad personality traits? So how did this mental gym actually work? For 16 weeks, participants logged into a website. First, they picked one or more of those 5 SEB skill areas they wanted to improve. Then, for the week ahead, they chose specific challenges from a list. These were like mini assignments. For example, a self-management challenge might be to plan out your time. A social engagement challenge could be telling a group of friends a funny story. For emotional resilience, it might be taking deep breaths when feeling overwhelmed. And for innovation, it could be looking up the answer to something you are curious about. After picking their challenges, they get reminders. Each week, they'd report back on how often they actually completed the challenges they set for themselves the week before. Importantly, the system would then offer them slightly harder or easier challenges, depending on their past success, kind of like a video game leveling up difficulty. They could even repeat challenges, but the goal would be to do them more often, pushing them to practice even more. To measure their progress, participants filled out questionnaires about their SEB skills at the beginning of the study and then at regular intervals throughout. They also reported on various life outcomes like their social relationships, how engaged they were in school or with their community, their health, and their overall happiness. So, did all this practice pay off? The researchers looked at the results, and here is the exciting part. For 4 out of the 5 SEB skill domains, the intervention seemed to work. They looked at how much people nominated a skill to change, how many challenges they accepted, and crucially, how many they actually completed. They found that when people chose to focus on a skill, they tended to improve. Even better, when they actually followed through and completed lots of practice challenges, their perceived skill development really got a boost. But here is a crucial detail: if people accepted a lot of challenges but didn't actually complete them, that seemed to actually hinder their skill development. It's like signing up for a gym, but never going. It doesn't help you get stronger. Imagine it this way. The study predicted skill levels over time. For someone who didn't even pick a skill to focus on, their skill level stayed pretty flat. For someone who wanted to improve but didn't complete their challenges, they saw a small improvement. But for someone who picked the skill, accepted challenges, and actually completed them, they saw a much bigger jump in their perceived skill level. This happened for social engagement, emotional resilience, and innovation skills. Self-management skills showed a similar pattern, emphasizing the importance of actually doing the tasks. Only cooperation skills didn't show significant intervention effects. Now, for the second big question, if people felt like they were getting better at these skills, did it actually make their lives better? The answer is a resounding yes. They looked at all sorts of life outcomes. Across the board, people who started the study with higher SEB skill levels tended to have better outcomes in life. But even more impressively, for almost all the skills they looked at, people who improved their skills over time also saw improvements in their life outcomes. For instance, getting better at self-management skills was linked to doing better in school and being more involved in their community. Improving social engagement skills meant better friendships, more civic involvement, and even higher life satisfaction. Becoming more emotionally resilient was tied to better mental and physical health and overall well-being. And innovation skills were linked to being more civically engaged. These links held up even when they accounted for other factors and when they looked at how the different skills might overlap. So, what does all this mean for us? This study suggests that this behavioral challenged approach is a pretty promising way to help people, especially young adults, improve their social, emotional, and behavioral skills. Unlike traditional programs that can be costly and hard to scale, this one was low cost and could be done online. It highlights that people can actively work on becoming better versions of themselves, not just by wishing for it, but by consistently doing the work. The study did have some limitations, of course. Since people chose which skills to focus on, there is a chance that they might have been biased to say they improved. Also, all the measures were self-reports, meaning people were rating themselves. Future studies could use more objective measures, like looking at actual behavior or getting feedback from others. And while the improvements were significant, the study only looked at about 4 months. We don't know for sure if these gains will last long-term, though some other research on changing personality traits suggests they can. Looking ahead, it would be interesting to see if this approach works differently for different skills. The study hints that maybe just deciding to work on a skill, like social engagement, is a big step, while for something like self-management, the actual doing of the challenges is even more critical. Comparing the skill-based approach directly to trying to change personality traits would also be really valuable. Ultimately, what this research tells us is that practice really does seem to make perfect, at least when it comes to these important social and emotional skills. By setting goals, taking consistent action, and reflecting on progress, we can apparently improve our abilities in areas that deeply impact our lives, leading to better relationships, more success, and greater overall well-being. It's empowering to know that we have a hand in shaping these crucial parts of ourselves. What do you think about this behavioral challenge approach? Could you see yourself using something like this to improve your own skills? Let us know in the comments below, and if you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to RUBIN'S Mind Lab for more explorations into the fascinating world of psychology. We'll see you next time.